welcome back everybody. Today we've got a couple of pretty simple things to open, but we're going to do a lot of different things with them. Let's start with the most straightforward. So these were all sent in by Mushkin. This is the Pilot E. This was sent to us in a 1 terabyte capacity. This is a NVMe drive, Gen 3x4, pretty standard at this point. This drive typically represents the best value per dollar at 1 terabyte from what I've seen pricing wise, without going to a DRAM-less drive. And is usually available in 512, 1 and 2 terabytes. I don't think the Pilot E gets any smaller. This is a fairly conventional design at this point. So we've got, well, so before I get ahead of myself, packaging's pretty straightforward, standard fare for Mushkin SSDs like we've seen before. Sticker with the capacity and actual model number here, and basically it just says PCIe 3 Gen 4 on the box. That's it. That's really all the information we get. We get a little sticker. And on the drive itself, so this is a 2-sided drive. We have an SK Hynix memory module as far as RAM is concerned. And if we peek under the sticker here, we're going to see what should be a Silicon Motion 2262 ENG, and then Micron TLC NAND. And this specifically is OVA27NW921, of which there are 4 packages. And on the 2 terabyte model, we would have the same 4 packages, but we would have a higher density. Fairly simple packaging, definitely designed to keep prices down. Let's just look up the warranty specs really quick here. And I'm going to have to look up the difference. This is an ENG. They specify that it uses an EN. I think that may just be a newer revision of the same exact controller. So looking at our 1 terabyte capacity, Mushkin says we've got 3D TLC, which we know. This is up to 3,500 megs per second read and 3,000 megs per second write. MTBF 1.5 million hours. No listed endurance or random performance here. I'm sure it's in the data sheet when I dig into it. Pretty basic specs, or pretty standard specs I should say, for this particular controller, but unlike some other companies that we'll discuss at a point in the future, no games here. If you bought a Pilot E on launch day and you bought a Pilot E today, they're going to behave the same. So there's that. We'll be running that through our test bench, and then we'll actually be using that in our video editing rig as our edit storage. So thank you, Mushkin, for sending that in. Next up, on the note of our edit rig, not quite enough to use as a permanent replacement for the system RAM, but certainly enough to try some interesting things with. This is Mushkin's iRAM, and this is PC3 14900, which I think was almost the limit of what you could get for registered ECC RAM. Timings are a little looser than I'd like to see, 1313, 1332. This is a 32 gig kit. So this is going to be interesting. And once again, pretty basic packaging like you see. This is just a bubble pack with the branding wrapped around. And then if we pop it open, the modules are just both here. We're going to use this, so I'm going to test some of the overclocking features on the Supermicro X9 DAX motherboard. and see just how high I can push this RAM. I should be able to push it to almost 2 gigahertz. I don't think I have enough options in the BIOS to actually cross that threshold. I should be able to get to like 1.95. But hopefully I can tighten those timings up some as well. Little surprising. I think this was done to keep costs down. There's no heat spreader here, which all of our existing DDR3 1066, which is like PC3 8500 off the top of my head, has a heat spreader on it. So this is definitely due to the commoditization of some of the servers that we saw towards the end of the DDR3 era. But what hasn't taken as big of a hit to that is this. This is Mushkin's Redline memory. This is some deceptively simple looking stuff, and it just looks like more memory modules. These are DDR4. This is PC4 4000. So this is 4000 megahertz DDR4. On the package, we actually get the most information out of all three of these. This tells you how to install the memory module. No note about the warranty, but what we do get, and did I ignore that on the pilot? Nope, it wasn't there on the pilot. I hope this is a new trend from Mushkin, as we get a scan me and learn more QR code. So before we open this up, let's go ahead and do that. So, oh, you were so close to doing that. Great. It just brings you to Mushkin.com, which makes it very easy to go to their products page or run a search and then go look at the Redline memory. But it didn't bring me right to the correct page. So I need to know that I'm looking at Redline, know that I'm looking at DDR4, know that I'm looking at, full size or SODIMM, and I can type in the name. Is it the same? The modules themselves have a little code on them. Let's scan that really quick. Oh, that just reads off the ridiculously long part number, Yeah, it doesn't turn up any results. I'm sure that's an internal number for their sorting system. I was looking up the Mushkin Redline because I wanted to double check its warranty. And let's see, this is 2x8. This is actually the second fastest RAM they carry. Mushkin only goes up to DDR4 4133. Neat. Okay, so the Redline comes with a lifetime warranty. They call this the Frostbite heatsink on their enhanced timings, which 18, 22, 22, 42. I'm going to confess some ignorance here, and that I haven't done a whole ton of tweaking with consumer grade DDR4. Alright, so these are the modules themselves. Looks like the heatsinks have some decent thermal interfaces on them. I can't quite see whose memory modules are here. Well, that's interesting. So these appear to be single-sided modules. I can see a spacer on the one side. So at least in the 8 gig capacity, this is only a single rank, I believe. of RAM. Now, Mushkin does not commit to a specific rank and bank configuration. That may change, but that's what appears to be here. I like this heatsink. It's a little simpler than some of the other ones that I've seen, but it's actually a decent size, and if you were the type of person who wanted something like LED lighting in your case, but, you know, this was, the cheapest DDR4 at the speed you were looking at, there's enough room in here that if you wanted to put a strip of LEDs inside there, or EL wire or something of that nature, you could. In fact, I happen to have a length with a nearly dead battery of EL wire, and other than the cap needs to come off the end. Well, actually, yeah, the cap needs to come off. There we go. Yeah, you could fish something like this through it, no problem, if you were the type of person inclined to do system modifications of that nature, and do whatever kind of lighting effect you wanted at that point. And there's, yeah, these happen to be green, and this is just a little AA packed roll of EL wire with some not for resale OEM Duracells in it at this point that are dead. But there's plenty of other things in this size that would fit there, no problem. Now, for me personally, I like the black heat spreader with the silver trim. Looks very clean, looks very classy. I wish I could actually just buy this heat spreader, because I would 100% add that to modules like these. Now these are going to get dealt with a little differently. We're going to be using these in some tweaking that I'm going to try on our video edit system. These I'm hoping to build a new test bench for. We don't have a test bench for DDR4. We can't really take our SSD reviewing bench off for it, and it's just not configured for it. Even if it was, it's old. It's a Z170, and perfectly fine for Gen 3 SSDs. But what we need is a Gen 4 bench, and I think we'll be using this memory in that. Now, I still need to pick up, the rest of the computer, as it were. But I definitely look forward to using this in that, and then having this be the first memory to pass through that. I don't quite know yet if we're going to do a Z590 build with hopefully the new Rocket Lake chips, or a X570 build with AMD. But, if you're more interested in one than the other, let me know in the comments below, and we'll try and accommodate that. Because as it stands right now, I don't have anything that tells me which way I have to go, other than what parts I can buy. So let us know in the comments below. So finally, thank you to Mushkin for sending these things in. I'm looking forward to reviewing the pilot. I've wanted to get my hands on this drive for a while. Very excited to play with some of the overclocking capabilities in our video edit system. Right now, I haven't really been able to push the RAM past 1400 megahertz or so, which isn't bad. I mean, that's DDR3 1066 pushed to 1333, and then a few percent on top of that thanks to the B clock tweak. But this will be interesting, to say the least. I do wish I had more of it, but it'll still be fun to put it through its paces. All right, so once again, thank you to Mushkin for sending these things in. I'm definitely looking forward to testing these. I want to thank anyone who helps support Pocketables, either using our Patreon or our Amazon affiliate links. It's support like that that's going to encourage us to invest in a DDR4 and PCIe Gen 4 test bench. I would like to thank Electrix for providing our opening and closing themes. And finally, thank you for watching.